wraps up the luncheon edition of news as produced by Triple N for today, Tuesday, 18th October 2022. I have been your presenter, Don Ezra Francois. Thank you for joining us.
You have been listening to the lunchtime edition of news. Our next major news is at 5 p.m. Remember to join us then.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain.
Welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters, welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socio-economic issues, any topical issue, or any issue trending. We always welcome our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, in conference, those on Sister Isle Radio and Real FM 91.9. And we have a caller on the line. Caller.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good evening. Yesterday I was by the hospital. I was by the hospital yesterday.
Yeah.
And a man come and take his wife from the hospital. And he telling another one who working there how they running down kidney chair, but this man what did is worse. And he called at one of the minister we running Guav. He said when they go to the woman, she said she can't take the man now.
Oh. Well, it's a challenge. Sometimes we cannot get things overnight, and people doesn't realize that.
Yeah.
And we in Grenada tend to criticize ourselves a lot because the hospital system in Grenada is not as bad as we claiming it to be.
No, not that. He come out and take his wife, but he's saying the man want to keep Michelle, but he don't doing. He was more than Dr. Michelle.
Yeah. Okay.
He say that one of the ministers they go to him, and he tell them that they can't take them and no.
Yeah. You're going to find that. Yeah. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. And sometimes I believe we in the Caribbean, we run down ourselves, we tear ourselves asunder, and we don't want to appreciate the successes and the advancement that we make. And sometimes I chastise my brothers and sisters in the diaspora because they give the impression that they're in an area where they don't have problems. I believe our brothers and sisters in diaspora could help our people more by explaining to them the challenges that they have in America. America is not the El Dorado. Because it is a big country, there is a lot of opportunities. The amount of opportunities you find in the United States of America, England, Frankfurt, or any country that have freedom, it is much more than Grenada. Grenada have 110,000 people. A small country. All governments in the past, they would invest in personnel, invest in education. But some of our people who get educated, they leave our country and go for greener pastures. And we run down the health system. We have been doing that throughout the time that the NNP was in power and NDC in power and NDC back now in power. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, this evening I want to speak about a coming together. And Mr. Pierre, there are two things in come together. There's a call for people to come together. But then that is important. What I do with what is important, when you call people to come together, you have to treat everyone equally. Everyone should receive benefit whatsoever happening. Because, you may have children, and they used to showing preference, love to one, and showing dislike to others. That will never bring people together. What need to bring people together, when it's ask people to come together, You have to love everyone. You have to love everyone and make sure everyone receive a portion of the cake that you have to share. Everyone might not receive the same amount, but everybody should receive a portion. And that's the thing. You must have to demonstrate that love and care for all. Because every mankind, every human being, supposed to treat one the way they would like other people to treat them. So yes, a call is important, but what is most important, when you say for us to come together to work together, you have to put that into action. You have to demonstrate that call, that what you say, when you call people to come together, you have to reach out with an olive branch and help. Even those that might not like your policy, you have to reach out and help them, because you have to consider everyone, every hungry must have to be fed. And see, when you're trying to show dislike and hate, you will never get people together. So I agree, yes, if a call. But what's important, when you make a call, you have to put things in place to make sure, well, let people see the call that you made. It is not a call.
Who made the call, caller?
No. I don't speak about no
Okay.
social people. No. Right? I don't speak about that.
Yes, you general. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. You have to, when you call, you have to show that you genuinely mean it. Yeah. And after an election, you expect the government of the day to make the call. But this government has not made the call. The government has incorporated victimization. They set up a ministry in particular, and some of the purpose of it is for victimization. So they have not asked for unity. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day.
Yes, scholar.
Yeah. We had a discussion yesterday concerning the pension. But everybody say that that is unfair for people to contribute into a pension and once that people benefiting from it. And when I look at it that way, that kind of unfair in truth, You have to pay tax everything, and once the people alone are benefit from that, and that's not right. And our representatives for St. John's, the only time I see that one face on the poster when they campaigning thing, I never see that one in person yet. The man, I feel he works a big farmer. She keep hiding me. You can remember, once you show up yourself, people will come by your thing, and I find that she can't avoid people because she don't have nothing, and people will converge on her thing. I find that even fair. You can really live in the village around here. They don't see that. Nobody has seen her come. They send other people, but she don't come in. I don't know why. I don't know why she. I feel he works a big farmer. She can't handle that. They came to pay. Have a good day.
Yes, scholar. Well, she's kind of young, but she's going to be improving. She's going to be growing in her maturity. And remember, when she was campaigning, they would do targeted campaigning. They would do assessment of people in the area and target certain people. And she was successful. She won by 6 or 9 votes. So one have to give her a chance. In all fairness, one have to give her a chance. She's capable, so one have to give her a chance and see what works out. And now, particularly if she believes you have green blood, she may not be interested in looking after you at all. In fact, the National Democratic Congress is practically victimizing those who share that blood. And it's one of the positions I don't agree with at all. And I would like to see the practice discontinue, because I think it has serious repercussions later on. Sometimes when things happen, we don't understand the consequences way down the road. And sometimes we don't have experience with it. We're in the month of October. That is the period when we had the execution of a number of members in our society. A number leading members of the government, including the Prime Minister. He was executed. And then the question we always have to ask, why people believe there must be judge, juror, and executioner. On our program, you would hear people justify, yes, they should jail them. And when you ask why, they say, well, they must counter-revolutionary. They're against the revolution. And people are convinced that they don't deserve no trial. They don't deserve any hearing. So that is what you call judge, jurors, and executioner. Today is the 18th. And in 1983, on the 17th and the 18th in Grenville, in particular, St. Joseph Convent in Grenville, we had a young girl there, well, not she alone, but she in particular was highly agitated, and she perhaps with some others led the group in St. Joseph Convent. Not from the 18th, but the 16th away. And the nuns did everything possible to keep them inside the convent. The nuns did not want them to go out. They was carrying on the 16th. The nuns on the 17th, the nuns did not want them to go out. So on the 18th, the tension in St. Joseph Convent, there was no class because you had individuals who was very active in the revolution there, young children. And eventually some of them left the school and they went out unknowing to the nun and they went to SAS. Well, SAS have massive numbers, almost 800-900 children, whereas St. Joseph Convent at that time must have 200 to 300. And they take the group from SAS and come through convent. So from the time they come through convent, the nun have to back out from the door. And convent's children, SAS children, and a group go down for Grenville Secondary, and all hell break loose in the town. And then they head for the airport, and the plane and them had to turn back, and that was the 18th. And the 19th, it was a question of the community of St. Andrews was well motivated, and I guess other parishes got the message, and they was heading for town to release the leader. And after they released Mary's bishop, because they was shouting while guns was firing, some of them was pumping, they wouldn't shoot on the masses. They wouldn't shoot us. You see, Maurice Bishop had trained them well. In all Maurice Bishop demonstration that went on for over 1 month, children was involved, women was involved. And the word that Gary would not have fire on children and women. So the same view kept held. And that day after Maurice Bishop was released, the children was convinced that they would not fire on them. But instead of going to the market square, where they had prepared a place for Maurice Bishop to speak, Maurice Bishop went on the foot. And when they reached on the fort, they were rearming themselves. I remember one announcement made by, I think, by Vincent Noel, where he called on 200 people. He said, we have a car with guns, and we want 200 people to go and re-establish communication with the world. So the fort was used as a center of operation. And then some other ministers come in, Norris Bain come in, and the crowd was cheering them on. But as this time went out, the people was moving away from the fort too. Children just get tired and hungry quick and lose their concentration, because the main architect of the demonstration now is inside in conference with Bishop. And eventually the crowd on the fort started to get tame. And Vincent Noel coming out periodically with his communique. Some people say, let's go for radix. Vincent Noel said, don't even think about it. Where radix is heavily guarded. And then Vincent Noel making an announcement that Bernard Code, Hudson Austin, Ewart Lane, and several other members must report to the nearest police station. So you see, these people, by the faith the ordinary people had in their leaders, and the leaders did not manage the conflict well. I have always said, I'm certain that both sides would have liked a mediator then. Somebody to call them to say, let us negotiate. Because once Vincent Noel started to make his communique, one would recognize that everybody's position was hardening. They was preparing for war. And obviously the students couldn't stay down in town the night. So maybe they was trying to rearm and establish some level of beachhead, a command post before evening come. And then the other side acted. It was ended in carnage and execution. And it was a sad ending in Grenada. Sometimes when we have these things, some people stay on the side. They don't get involved and act as a mediator. They don't intercede for peace. They push fire. And then we blame the participants. After the American invaded, rescued, or liberated, depends on which side of the pendulum you're on. If he was a gay right and he was in jail, the American rescue. If he was a Codite, the American invade. That is how we look at it. It depends on which position you were in. But after 1983 and the American takeover, we had another group of people that became victims in Grenada. Individuals who were members of the PRA. Those who had parents away and had clout and had a level of academic education, they left the country and gone study. Canada, United States, England, Trinidad. Some of them family pulled them out. But a number of ordinary Grenadians, I know some that turned vagrants, some that got mentally sick, some that was harassed and beaten by people. And those who in Broad Grove know, they spit on some, box them up, mash up their vehicles. Now the history wouldn't talk about that. You won't see that written in books. That's why I always encourage people, those who write the stories. So when Monkey writes a story, Monkey always write. Those who write the stories, write it from their version. So you always have to do research. It's not long. It's just in 1983, 40-something years ago. So you still have individuals who was players in Grenada that you can seek answer from. Some people left after 1983. What do you think happened to a lot of members of the Revolutionary Army? They lost their clout in the community. They were on the run. Yes, caller, welcome.
How you do?
Great man, great man.
Oh boy, I'm so fine with a headache, boy.
You have a little headache? What happened? Too much action?
The day coming up tomorrow.
What is tomorrow?
The 19th of October.
Oh yes, the 19th of October.
Lord of his month.
That's what I'm speaking about now.
Yeah.
The 19th of October, you were on the foot?
I did dress everything going down. Dress.
When
when I come out in the bedroom, I dress already just to
but you didn't have to reach your foot.
No, just to close the room door. Somebody, one voice said, Teresa, where you going?
Yeah.
That was my aunt daddy telling me where I'm going. So I go in the bathroom and see her. I go in the bedroom, I don't see her. When I come out to go in the sitting room, I say, nobody don't stopping me here today.
Yeah, but by that time,
I gonna die with Bishop.
Yeah, but by that time, it don't make sense dying with Bishop because you're not alive to tell the story. Yeah. Maurice Bishop asked them, Maurice Bishop said, oh God, they turned the guns on the people.
When I reach in the front door to close the front door, closing the front, open the door to close the front door. But a lot of them come, Teresa.
Don't go.
Where you going? Where you going?
They realize that anarchy taking place.
My God.
Everything out of order.
Why? I take all the shoes in my foot.
That's why you're alive today.
And I lie down on the floor in behind the door. If my aunt had also passed out in the front door, she had also passed in the kitchen door because she would not have waked me up. And she must be the praying too because she is one that say, Oma, you're not going nowhere, no. You're not going nowhere tomorrow. I said, what? I don't go do tomorrow. Joke you're making. And my daddy said, no, Teresa, I have somebody else for you to take care of. And people to take care of too. Teresa, no.
So after that, after this carnage, how are you feeling? Were you shedding tears?
Well, when I get up, when the lad picked me up 3 o'clock, I bawl like a cow. I real cow, you know. My neighbor, Sister Daphne, had to run down. And look what happened to her, man. They had to hold me. Force a ball.
Yeah, but that time Maurice Bishop dead already.
Yes, he's dead already.
They executed all of them.
You understand?
Yeah. And sometimes...
there was a day.
Yeah.
And there was a day to me. God have his mercy.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. But we always have to remember it, and we have to share it as genuinely as possible with other people. You see, we must not add more. We must not subtract. We must tell the story as we heard them or as we express them. Don't add more. Because it's history. It's part of our history. It cannot be what is written alone. And this is why sometimes I take issue with religious people, the Protestants, some of the evangelicals, the Adventists, and they say solo scriptura, the Bible and the Bible alone. I said, no, you must hear from the traditional fathers and the magisterium. In Grenada here, some of our brothers in the diaspora, they could have prevented this thing, you know. But they never care about what the locals had to say. 3,000 people in jail. And people in the diaspora say the best thing that happened in Grenada is the revolution. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, man.
I feel distracted. I mean, I'm glad for the caller, but I miss, you know, where you started from. Before she called, you was going down that line there, boy, and I feel that I was disturbed. I wish you could start it back.
And sometimes you never go back there again, you know.
Well, that is the next thing, you know, but that was real going on good, you know.
Because that's what the program gives precedence to the callers.
A lot of people don't know concerning what you talk about the convent and
the St. Joseph Convent. They
sorry,
played the leading role in the struggle because one of the sisters in the convent, well, she is a political family.
Yeah.
She was a relative of Innocent Belma.
Oh.
But the Belma family was split. Some was strong Jewel and some was strong Garrett.
Yeah.
Even on Belma's death, I thought Eric Gary pulled a low one he shouldn't put. He told one of his sisters she crying crocodile tears. Even in the funeral. I thought he should have avoided.
What I want to say is that if the caller could give you a little chance to go lower down the road before they start calling.
No, we don't want chance, man. We're going to, where the history is concerned, we're going to go over that all the time. You see, when you're speaking about Grenada politics, 3 leaders' names must come up. Eric Gary, Maurice Bishop, and Kit Mitchell. They are the 3 most impactful Grenadians. And what you look for is consistency in statements. So somebody might say something, and a month after you hear that person, and you could practically take off from where they left off. Because you know when they're speaking the truth or not.
Right.
And when it's their opinion.
All right, thank you.
So I'll try again.
Right.
Yes, so we had St. Joseph Convent. So the sisters there did everything possible to keep the children in St. Joseph Convent. St. Joseph Convent number was not about 2 to 3, maybe about 300 children. So some of the 2 or 3 of the girls from convent, they go in SAS. So they go and get the children from SAS. SAS was slightly agitated, but not as convent. So by the time they go in SAS with a bell and a drum, and SAS children, when they're demonstrating, they used to run. So the children would run from farm to farm. And by that time, the majority of children in the school demonstrating and going up to convent. So SAS going for convent. And by the time they reached, the sisters know they couldn't restrain these children anymore. And then they sent on a delegation to St. Grenville's secretary. And they ravished the town and on the airport. And the next day, St. George's. And they're singing, "We find we leader." And Maurice Bishop then did not make the correct decision. Maurice Bishop led the children on the foot. He did what he accustomed doing all the time, using women and children as a shield. He used them against Eric Gary, and now he was using them against his own army. You ever call on the line? Yes, he was using them against his own army. And he went on the fort. And they take guns from the soldiers there. They rearm some of themselves. They made an announcement that they have a car with guns. They want 200 people. By the time they say that, they might get 300. Go and let us re-establish communication with the rest of the world. And every time one of the individuals coming up is a big shout. I remember Fitzroy Bain, not Fitzroy Bain, Norris Bain coming up. But other members was coming up. And even when the armored car was coming, people was jumping, Bishop soldier coming. Because they use the army as a command post. So when the armored car coming down, people wasn't frightened. They say Bishop soldiers are coming. And then they realized it's not Bishop soldiers, and everybody had to take cover after that. You have to take cover because gun explode. You know? These are the situations. It is easy to blame the PRA. It is. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre. Hi, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, you made a point just now about they try to arm civilians on the foot.
No, I didn't say they try to arm civilians.
Why?
I said they were rearming themselves. They said a car outside there with gun. We want 200 people to go to the... There wasn't arming civilians.
Mr. Pierre, that was true because I was right there.
Right, so there was not arming civilians.
Yeah.
I remember in one situation, yeah.
I worked at the army 6 months before that. I used to be on the Calvin camp. Anyway, I served in Camboni. I served in the prisons. So all detainees in the prisons knew me. Right? And the detainees used to always say, that's the best soldier they ever see. Right? But I was on the fort October 19th when that vehicle come load of guns. And men riding on one another to get guns. But
again, the other are militia. So you not have been the students are going for guns.
No. Yeah. In the meantime, them students left already. Most of them students go down in the market.
Them students they get hungry and tired.
Yeah, tired. And anyway, when they take Bishop, they stay a lot of hours before they kill him. You know?
I know that.
They didn't kill him at the same time.
No.
So when the vehicle come with the guns, men carrying on them back to go and get a gun, but they come back. We say, watch out.
Keep the telephone close to you.
When we walking down, when we read by Barclays Bank, up coming, I'm a crashing. I'm a crash just right there.
But you thought that was Bishop Soldier then?
Yes.
Yeah, they say Bishop Soldier coming. They clapping.
A lot of people started running up.
They clapping because Bishop Soldier coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I come down with a truck. My parents by 11 years at home. Bully farms, people running it. I see a young man coming down with one hand. They hang a cut off on the foot. My parents 11 years at home with the girl with our truck Cherry Hill. Right by Baptist. I will go stand up with him. It was after we hear that rapid fire on the foot. All of us will they kill him now. Yeah?
A lot of people got damaged because they was climbing the walls.
Yeah, the people jump the wall too.
People jump the walls, people go down under the truck.
Yeah.
When the bullet pass on the truck, people say, get out, the gas tank go blow.
and you know, the major chief of staff get away on the foot too, you know.
Yeah.
You remember, you know him who was the major chief of staff at the army?
No, I don't know.
I want to go see, I go see that because everybody know that.
Yeah.
Einstein reason was major chief of the army.
Yeah.
And he escaped from the food at the same time too.
Because he appears he was pro-bishop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But for me, I feel the man should have really calmed that thing down. But anyway, he couldn't calm down because...
You see, he couldn't calm because we did not have the voices in Grenada that acting as mediator.
Yeah.
The Bar Association should have been in a position to talk. The church could have called. Nobody in Grenada at that time called and said, guys, all you have to mediate, all you have to talk.
Yeah.
There was no weight. All the civic groups, all the groups that was called non-governmental organization, all of them take sides.
Yeah. But Mr. Pierre, talking about this part in the military and the revolutionary government, which you call the decision body making the decision.
Central Committee.
The Central Committee. The Central Committee. A lot of people don't know that because Bernard Code had resigned from the Central Committee a year before that happened, you know. So George Reason become chief of the Central Committee. And they wasn't want to listen, they never listened to George Reason because of one factor. I further understand, in the New Jewel movement, they have a principle called joint leadership. Right? Maurice voted for that, you know.
Maurice have supported joint leadership.
Yeah, he voted.
But they say Castro tell him not to support that.
George Reason abstained. He said, as far as my knowledge, he said that conspiracy.
Yeah, there is only 3 persons that vote against it.
Yeah.
Bishop abstained.
Yeah.
George Louison vote against it.
Against it, yeah.
3 persons vote against it. Maurice Bishop abstain.
Yeah.
Leaders do not abstain in critical situations.
Yeah, but you see too, that was a principle of the party, isn't it?
Well, yes, but Maurice Bishop agreed.
Yeah, because joint leadership was a principle of the party.
But they say Castro tell him don't support that.
Yeah.
And already the Central Committee say Bishop want one-manism like Fidel.
Yeah.
They say it's a one-manism cult, while they wanted Marxist-Leninism.
Yeah.
So when they called Bishop to the meeting, they claim that Bishop told his chief security and another security to go and spread a rumor that Bernard Code and his wife want to kill him. To tell the cook to go down Freedom Street and tell the man there, can't remember his name, 3 persons. But they told only the cook and they go and report to headquarters. So when they corner Maurice Bishop denied, and one of the security telling me lie. So at that time, they really corner Uncle Bishi. Yes, caller, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, what's wrong here is when we don't have independent voices that is willing to intervene or intercede or to moderate. What's going on between Russia and Ukraine now? You don't have independent voices. You don't have independent voices in the world asking to moderate the conflict. China, India, and some of the strong countries in Africa should work together to mediate. When Mia Mottley go in the United Nations, she should have called and asked for these countries to mediate in the conflict or even volunteer the Caribbean to join them. We don't have independent voices. In Grenada, it's easy to blame the PRA, but the real culprit was those who supported the revolution to overthrow a legitimate government because they hate Terry. We have a similar problem today. The National Democratic Congress evoked victimization as part of its policy, and voices in the country refuse to tell them they're wrong. I say to my brothers, ask any minister to defend that, and the minister going to tell you Kit Mitchell used to do it. That is not a defense. Even if the previous government was practicing victimization, it is not a justification for you to do it today. It is wrong. You're going to fracture this country. You're going to cause the seed of hate. We had the revolution. Then we had the Truth and Reconciliation Committee that tried to heal and beg people to work together. And we saw the individuals who were active in the revolution, the Garryites, and those who were jailed working together. And now you have a political party that set up a ministry, and the main objective of the ministry is political victimization. They call it Ministry of Mobilization. The only time you have mobilization as a ministry in a country is in socialist country. And it existed when the government suspended the constitution. No other government introduced mobilization ministry. So they have mobilization, implementation, restorative justice, detoxification, all sorts of big names to hide their evil, vindictive deeds. And you know who is responsible? The people in the country who know that it is wrong and remaining silent. The trade union should tell us about the legality of that ministry. I believe under the Constitution that ministry may be illegal, but I'm just an ordinary rustic of nondescript breed. So I could just say these things. He has no weight. But the Public Workers Union should point out the flaws of this ministry. Who are the members of this ministry? And what is the objective? And in 2022, with liberalization of the telecommunication network and this level of freedom that we have here, this victimization ministry is going to decree the villages and the communities and the school in our country. And these are the voices supposed to tell Dick Mitchell, a lawyer, you're wrong. Our journalists, they kind of get cozy and photogenic. So we have to let them recover from the political slumber. But we may have to call on journalists from outside to ask Dick Mitchell to explain why is it necessary for him to have Ministry of Mobilization, Implementation, and Transformation. Is it constitutional? Is it flawed? That is what's important. You see, this is the right time for us to do it. The month of October is a decisive month in our history. I've seen individuals who was ex-PRA treated very badly. People took advantage on them. in the same way they took advantage on the gay rights in 1979. And the counter-revolutionaries like Dr. Japal and the 3,000 people that were jailed and those that was castrated and the policemen that they take out the toenail. It's the same way the Grenadian public took advantage on ordinary Grenadians who just wanted to develop this country. Those members of the army, young boys, they were convinced by the romanticism of the revolution. Remember, Maurice Bishop was an orator, you know, and some of the things he was speaking was exceptionally good. And I see my partner Onisto is here. I always like to react to him. He said, you talk about victimization when you have KB on your radio bashing the administration, left, right, band center, and you're still working, doing nothing, but receiving great salary at the end of the month. It was on the days of the NNP you would have been sent home long time ago. Onisto, and I see another issue of Onisto making a statement. Once again, you're wrong on the revolution, which tells me you knows nothing about what happened in the revolution. Because you've been saying things that is not true. I think it was a supporter of the revolution, which tells me he was a counter-revolutionary, and you knows what Peter David and them done to counter. Honestly, you have to try to make sense. You seems kind of young, so in the revolution, maybe you was to school or a child. So you could learn. And if I have said anything that is not true, point it out. But you could also listen and learn. You see, we're making a mistake in Grenada sometimes. There are people who could solve the problem by mediating and speaking truth and try not to fracture our country. Don't do things to victimize people. And later we blaming others. It is easy to blame the members of the PRA. I don't blame them. They were dedicated, patriotic. They believe what they was doing is right. Who to blame is the planners and those who stood on the side and said nothing. And our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, instead of helping Grenada, they want to help a political party. And they will propagate all kind of lies on it too. When you're speaking the truth on it too, you don't have to bother. Because you're speaking the truth. You don't have to worry on it too. You don't have to remember what you said yesterday. All you have to learn to do is to speak the truth. It is not about stripping individuals and victimizing people. It is not about hunting down green blood. Honesto is not about going to a celebration where somebody celebrated 100 years and people going there to see which public officers that attend. That, I believe the brothers in the diaspora have to tell Dick Mitchell is wrong. Our brothers in the diaspora have to tell Dick Mitchell, when the Ministry of Mobilization sends spies in a meeting, in a party, where a woman celebrates 100 years, because that person is the mother of a politician, to see who come in the function to victimize them, now the diaspora must speak. And tell Dick Mitchell he is wrong. Honesto, tell Dick Mitchell that the Ministry of Mobilization sent spies to a session where a sister celebrated 100 years. A staunch churchgoer. And the people went there only to see which public officers go there. That is so sad, it's objectionable. Somebody reached 100 years, we should use it to promote healthy aging. Too much of our people in Grenada going to funeral and waiting to die. They're consuming substances that is totally against their health. They're overweight. They have enough sugar in their blood for 1 teaspoon of sugar to sweeten a drum of kerosene. You have so much of individuals like that. So that woman who celebrated 100 years should be used to help to promote healthy aging. Active member of a church. Now tell me how the Ministry of Mobilization, that is what is going on in Grenada. That is the accusation that is being made. Send people in that session to see which public officers attended that session with the sole intention of looking for green blood. Honesto, you and all, I know you have a conscience. I'm certain you know that is wrong. So you could write about these things, but I believe you seem to have some weight with the deacon and some of the ministers. You could tell them that is wrong. If they do not believe it is wrong, come publicly and tell us why that was done. Come publicly and tell us why that was done. You know, this is the month of October, and we invite you to call. Remember, Maurice Bishop in the international community was well respected. He spoke on issues that the international community agreed with. And he was an orator, a powerful speaker. He was well loved in Grenada, but there was a lot of excesses with his regime. And some of the challenges we have with that is one of our people of the diaspora, when they let hate consume them so much that they cannot point out to those they love, you're going wrong. Now is the correct time to tell Deacon Mitchell that he's on the wrong trajectory. He is victimizing people. After he promised the individuals they would not lose their job, now he is justifying it by members of his team claiming the previous government 10 or 15 years ago fired people too. So women who do, and we're not speaking about men. We don't meddle with men. We ain't speaking about men. The women 8 and 9 and 15 years that was working with government is losing their job today. The National Democratic Congress is behaving like a bully. They're not going after senior public officers. They can't do that. These officers are well protected by the union and they're very competitive on the job market. They're going after people who is not competitive on the job market. They want them to starve. So they don't throw them out of the job, and it will be difficult for them to find a job with government. They would not give them work on the road. And some of them walking on ice because they're afraid they victimize their children in school. The Deacon Mitchell government is wrong. And the quicker other voices in this society investigate what I'm saying on the radio, investigate it. Don't believe me. When I speak, I don't want you to readily believe me. Find out if it's true. See if you get some letters. Ask Deacon how much people you fire so far. Ask him what have they done wrong. What is the justification? Ask him these questions. Ask him what he means by restorative justice and detoxification. These are the words that the NDC heavyweight is using in the country. They say it's not victimization, it's detoxification. It's bright fellas you're dealing with, you know. That's why they're using this big word on them. They're bright. So maybe our journalists in the Caribbean have to start to ask the question. And the trade union in Grenada, some of them still in the NDC syrup. They have not awakened yet. And the president of the Senate seems to be in a daze. So we may have to ask other members in the Caribbean. We might have to ask Caribbean Public Service Association, PSI and CPSA if they agree with political victimization. So this is October. And because of the events of October is part of our history. And I speak about it because it's not only the history that you read about. There are history that is not written. In fact, most of the history of a country is not written. When Monkey writes his story, Monkey always writes. Yes, some Grenadians like to say Christopher never discovered Grenada. I disagree with them. Christopher Columbus discovered Grenada for the Europeans. We cannot blame the white man alone, the Europeans alone for slavery. Our children must know black leaders sold slaves. And Europeans went and buy slaves. Today in our country, our people are victimizing our people. And we're trying to justify it. We must know that. And you may not know that from written history alone. Because 70% of Grenadians who exit school cannot get English language. So don't expect the written word. You have to hear verbal history, oral history, history in songs, history in poetry. You have to look at it there. And I think that is important for us. And you will hear me continually speaking about these things. I don't believe I would encourage my children to learn history in school. Don't waste time with history in school. I'll teach you my history. Study maths and English. Do a foreign language. Do science. Don't waste time with history. Because most of the history is monkey history. When monkey writes his story, monkey always writes. So you either write your own history. I think it's very important. I see our sister Cynthia Bartholomew. He said he will be going to Bathway to see who is attending the celebration. Well, I never hear such foolish utterances. Now, this is an attempt by the Ministry of Mobilization to intimidate Grenadians. So they intend to intimidate. They intend to use victimization to intimidate people. It's an old cheap strategy. But people don't have to be too wary, because they can't send nobody in jail this time. They intend to use victimization to intimidate people. So when you're on radio, they come and try to tell you, well, you're making money and all kind of nonsense. Don't bother with that. It's a cheap strategy, and people should just put it in a place for where it, consider it for what it is worth. Yes? And remember, the month of October is also Child Month. We must never forget that. A child is a gift from God. No matter what you see written, remember, your child is a gift from God. 60% of our household is led by women. And when I speak about children, I'm always looking at our women. We need more hunger for education. Make certain that when your child go to school, that maths, English, a science subject, a foreign language, your child on it. Look at the relationship we have with Latin America and Cuba and Puerto Rico. It's very easy to get a scholarship in the South American countries. A number of Grenadians go to Venezuela for medical treatment. And it might be even cheaper than the United States of America. So it's an asset if our children learn Spanish. Play some Spanish music in your house. That's simple. It's not hard. Our children must do better in school. You see, the education system is a selection system. I tell you how it works already. If 110 children go in school, let us suppose SAS taking 110 children in a school, and 3 dead, and 5 go away, and 2 go in jail. After 5 years, we must look at what is the situation with the 100 children. If maths and English is compulsory, the school should send 100 children to do maths, 100 children to do English language. Instead of that, the school sending 10 children to do maths. And the school jumping up, they're whining, they're jumping up. They're saying they get 90% pass, when it's only 10 children they send. That is 9% they pass. They should have sent 100 children. But they use a selection system. You can make it. You're not academically inclined. You don't. Well, just so they might say, your mother green, she running your mouth, and she not educating you. And then they ending up with 10 children doing maths. This is why we have this big problem in this country. They know all the necessary agencies are saying that there are jobs in the market, but our children don't have the skills and talents for the job. But they seem well satisfied with a few children passing maths. In the next 5 to 10 years, we could change that. If women start to get hungry for education and see the importance of maths and English in school, within 5 to 10 years, we could change this dynamic. Not with the stroke of a pen. You can't change nothing with the stroke of a pen. Within 5 to 10 years, we have to change our attitude on our mentality. Some parents understand that, and their children is doing well. But the majority of parents don't take basket. If they tell you your child is not academically inclined, let them give you a paper so you could broadcast their name publicly. It's not about genetics. It's environmental factors. And you could get your child to succeed irrespective of what challenge they have in the school. If you get hungry for education, and we could do better, we could change things. Grenada is a small place. We have to always be careful that we don't spread hate, because the NNP that lose their job today, they might end up with your husband. Or they might end up with your man. They might get vulnerable, and your man might sorry for them. And men have a good heart. They're always sorry for women who lose their job. So we must do better. But when the children suffer and you laugh, their child might be the mother or the father of your grandchild. So it's in the NDC interest to make certain that the NNP don't end up in the doghouse. Yeah, and we're back with you again tomorrow between 12 and 1 when we have another opportunity to punch and exchange ideas, and you have an opportunity to make your contribution. Thank you very much.
Raise your voice.